Hello, and welcome to another edition of the Diamond Cooper Show. Coming to you live over the airways of YouTube from my hometown, Washington, D.C. Happy to be back with you. Hope y'all all had a good weekend. Thank you to everybody who hit that like and subscribe button. And much thanks to those who are just joining me. Hit that like and subscribe. Support your boy. And I'm going to keep bringing you this content. And you know, I got a few things to get into. We had NFL, NBA, full weekend, a lot to get into. But before I get into the weekend, got to start off with the first segment, y'all. And you know what it's called. For real, before the weekend got started, if y'all watch First Take, then you know that on Wednesdays, Christopher Mad Dog Russo is on with Stephen A. and Company. Known as a New York radio legend, you know, Mad Dog Radio, Sirius XM. He got a lot of good takes. He got a segment on First Take that's called What Are You Mad About? And I definitely enjoy this, entertaining, top to bottom. But we can be fans of certain people's work, but we don't got to agree with them all the time. So the For Real segment is based on Mad Dog Russo this week. Well, today, because there'll be two more segments this week, but we starting off the week with this after the holiday. Mad Dog said that Shaq is not a top 5 center of all time. Did y'all see Shaq play? How many of y'all saw Shaq play? Shaquille O'Neal was the most dominant force to play in the NBA ever. You can't have a top 5 without Shaquille O'Neal in it, man. And he wound up coming to the Lakers and winning his first 3 chips with my Lakers. But he started in Orlando, made it to the finals with Anthony Penny Hardaway, who unfortunately, you know, injuries prevented him because he was definitely one of the top dogs. He was up there with Kobe and Tracy McGrady. AI, he was up there with them. But injuries derailed Grant Hill too. You know, somebody else's injuries derailed their careers. But to say that Shaq is not top 5 is ridiculous. So, man, you can hit it up in the comments. Do you believe that Shaq is not a top 5 center of all time? I mean, it's a ridiculous take for me. And I love Mad Dog. But it's a ridiculous take. If I had to do a top 5, you know, just for argument's sake, and y'all can let me know what y'all think about it or who y'all got in yours, I will go Kareem first, you know, because he's the only person that had one move that nobody could stop, the sky hook. It didn't matter which way, it didn't matter how he did it, you couldn't stop it. It was just either he was going to make it or he was going to miss it. And he was the leader in points, had the most points scored, and it lasted about 30 years before LeBron broke it last season. I got Shaq number 2. Then I got Wilt. Wilt was the most dominant before Shaq, and he the only person he averaged 51 points and 24 rebounds. I mean, like, come on, man. Yeah, he was a lot bigger than most of the players back then, 90-something% of the players back then. But come on, man, it was Wilt. Then you got Bill Russell for Boston. 11 rings as a player, 2 more as a player coach. I mean, like, he the reason that Boston got 17 banners. He responsible for 13 of the 17. So it ain't even no question about that. And then I got to go with Hakeem the Dream, man, just on skill. Like, I think he was the most all-around skilled center, you know. And, of course, you can have your honorable mentions on whoever you think and whoever you liking. But to say that Shaq isn't top 5, if you have a top 5 list of centers, just one hand, and you don't have Shaq in it, something wrong, man. I don't know, maybe it's just preference over there. I don't know. Something's definitely wrong. Sticking with the NBA, 5 games yesterday. Of course, one we didn't really care about. The Miami Heat beat Philly 119-113, but Joel Embiid didn't play. Leading candidate for MVP in the NBA right now, averaging almost like 34. Like, killing inside, outside. And Jimmy Butler didn't play either. Nobody really cares. But it started off with Jalen Brunson going off for the Knicks, dropping 38, the third most by a Knicks player on Christmas Day. We all know what the most was on Christmas Day by a Knicks player, at the Garden. Bernard King back in the day dropped the 60-piece spicy on him. Probably put a little mumbo sauce on that 60-piece just to make it seem a little better. Big props to Jalen Brunson. He was balling. Giannis had 32-13. He was doing his thing. Dame Lillard had 32. But New York got more help from their supporting cast. And in the end, that's what bit Milwaukee. But don't get it twisted. Milwaukee definitely still a title contender. And we all know Giannis, man. I mean, it snapped Milwaukee's 7-game win streak. They was on a 7-game win streak. So it's not like, Milwaukee in no slump or anything. They just wound up taking the L. Pretty entertaining game. Jalen Brunson stole the show. Much prop to him and the Knicks. I know Stephen A. love that they had that good win while he was sitting there having some, good grub for Christmas Day. Then we had Denver. They beat Golden State 120-114. Steph had 18. He was 3 of 13 from 3, 7 of 21 from the field. Steph played 10. We know this is the greatest shooter. You know what I'm saying? Steph is the greatest shooter of all time. Hands down. We know that. Anybody question that, they tripping too. Even more than Mad Dog talking about Shaq ain't top 5. They're tripping. In 9 out of those 10 games, my man Steph got less than 20. That's unbelievable. Like, you would never think that when you look at how many rings, 4 rings, 2 MVP, finals MVP, best shooter all time. You never would have thought that he played 10 Christmas games. Steph Curry. And in 9 of them, he had less than 20 points. That's an amazing stat, man. I had to share that with y'all because that threw me off. But after the game, Steve Kerr, some of y'all who been watching basketball for a while, remember he played with the Bulls with Chicago, got a few rings, then went to San Antonio with Greg Popovich and Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker, Tim Duncan, got a couple more rings over there. And now he got 4 as a coach with Golden State. He wasn't too happy about the reps, man. Joker didn't shoot that good from the field. But Denver shot 26 free throws in the second half. Steve Kerr might have a reason to be a little bit upset about that. You only got 4 teams that average 26 or more free throws a game for the season so far. The top 2 was Philly and Orlando with 27.6 and 27.2 respectively. So you don't see that many free throws like in a game by a lot of teams. They had 26 free throws in the second half. Joker had 18. Knocked all of them down. Couldn't enough in the field. Was still getting everybody involved in the rebounding. Free throw line, murder. And then Steve Kerr say, man, he feel like the NBA is legislating defense out of the league. Which is a good point because, it's always something that people lament when they talk about the NFL. But also in the NBA, which is why some of the, older players, old school players talk about, how the rules made the game a little softer and things of that nature, is because when you implement these rules and now you can't hand check, you can't do this, you can't do that, it takes away your aggressiveness on defense, stopping the ball. And so it winds up turning into a referee show. And when you're looking at the second half of that game, every time somebody get fouled and somebody goes to the free throw line, it's a stoppage of play. In that stoppage of play, the game is slowed down. So now you got a whole half dragging off because one team is getting 26 free throws and the other team isn't even getting 10. So we got to understand, the guys that grew up when I did and the people before us, we got to understand they didn't change the rules so much that complaining about the fact that they legislating defense out of the sports, they trying to make it more entertaining and stuff like that. We just got to accept what it is, see the value in it, and enjoy it now, because if we keep holding on to what it used to be, we're never going to embrace what it is now, because that's what's most important. Just like understanding this is the way that the league is now, the leagues. These are the rule changes. And whether we like them or not, because those aren't the rules that we grew up embracing and playing under, because some of us played, we got to understand the fact that that's just what it is now. And even though it's unfortunate that some adjustments that have to be made in some of these sports, we can't allow it to steal our joy in the moment, because really we are entertained by the sport. So every time you waste energy complaining about this play or that call, you're taking away from the product itself and the joy you can get from the product itself. That's just my perspective. Y'all can let me know how y'all feel about that. And then the night before the nightcap, I was getting ready to say the nightcap, but I meant to say before the nightcap. My Lakers went down again. We 2-6 since we won the in-season tournament, and I feel like it's just a little bit of a lag, because we won the in-season tournament, put a lot of energy into those games, treated them with the playoff atmosphere and stuff, and then it's like it's taken us a couple of weeks. It looks like it's taken us a couple of weeks to get back into that flow and domination form. We lost to the Boston Celtics 126-115. This Boston Celtics, all 5 of their starters scored 18 or more points, led by Kristaps Porzingis with 28. AD, 40 points, 13 rebounds, couple of blocks. First person with 40 and 10 on Christmas. Wasn't enough, man. But I'm not looking at it like it's a downfall. We 2-6 since the end. The ship gonna turn around, and it's waves that it's possible that we might make some trades and stuff. But I did like the fact that Taurean Prince, D'Lo, and Hachimura was playing good. Hachimura did have a string where he missed a couple of open threes that would have been crucial, you know what I'm saying, to help us get over the hump and get the lead, because we made the game a game after we were down 18 early. Bron's leadership is going to trickle down. Gabe Vincent hasn't really been playing like that. You know, Jared Vanderbilt was out for a second. You know, he just took D'Lo to the bench. D'Angelo Russell, you know, took him to the bench. So, you know, it looked like he just started to get into a little rhythm coming off the bench, because he was used to playing more minutes. But I have to agree that Austin Reeves deserves more minutes. Austin Reeves is that third wheel. You know, a lot of people in the streets call him AR-15. You know, his number 15, and you know the streets. But Austin Reeves, man, is a cold-blooded dog. The nightcap, though, did y'all see Luka? 50, 15 assists. Dallas went into Phoenix and beat them 128-114. Like I said, 50. 15 assists. 15 assists. And he the second fastest to reach 10,000 points. Luka Doncic is a dog, man. You talking about it? This is one of those great Christmas Day performances when it comes to the sports and the history, and this is gonna be one of the ones that get looked back on, because sometimes when a team isn't winning, we diminish their greatness. And even though he's young, 24, if I'm not mistaken, Luka is not afraid of no moment. He took Dallas to the conference finals a couple of years ago. Man, I'm telling you, Luka Doncic is going to be one of the faces of this league moving forward. When the vets that's running the league, the face of the league, move on, Luka going to be one of those guys, because he's not afraid of the moment. He hits clutch shots. He's not afraid to take clutch shots. He's not worried about who he's going up against. None of that. Go into Phoenix facing KD, who only had 16 points. And that ended the streak. He had 23 straight games scoring 25 or more. That ended the streak. He only had 16 last night, and Luka dropped 50. Dallas Mavericks, third place in the West, or fourth, right behind Oklahoma City. Fourth behind Oklahoma City. It's Minnesota, Denver. Let me make sure. Yes, Minnesota, Denver, OKC, SAC, then Dallas. But it's only a percentage points that they basically tied for fourth place. They got the same amount of wins as Oklahoma City, but 2 more losses. That's why they're in a different place. My Lakers in ninth right now, 16-15. We got a couple of vets on the team. We're going to stay in the hunt and then focus on positioning after the new year, get into a good rhythm, and get back on the map. But now we got to transition to the NFL. You know we got to. It was called the year of the backup now. 58 different quarterbacks started this year. It's only 32 teams. 58 quarterbacks. Wow, man, that's crazy. I've never seen that like this. Like so many of the marquee quarterbacks, the starting quarterbacks for the teams in the NFL are like not even playing. And some got hurt recently. Justin Herbert. You know, we without Joe Burrow, Aaron Rodgers, week 1, Kirk Cousins, Deshaun Watson. Oh my goodness. Well, Jimmy G was starting. Yeah, Jimmy G and Aiden O'Connell got the job when they fired the coach, and it's been a carousel. 58 different starting quarterbacks. But one of them standing out, man, because out of those 58, Tyrod Taylor put up a good performance against the Philadelphia Eagles too, and we'll get into that. But Joe Flacco, man. Do y'all remember Joe Flacco? 2012 Super Bowl champion, Baltimore Ravens, when they beat San Francisco and was called the Blackout Bowl because the lights went out for a minute when Baltimore was up, and then Colin Kaepernick brought San Francisco back, and then Baltimore made a stop at the end of the game. And Ray Lewis, Ed Reed retired with them rings. Ray second, Ed first. Joe Flacco, that was backing up the Jets last year, was saying he was just driving his kids to the bus stop, school bus stop, taking them to school, doing grocery shopping. He come back, signed with Cleveland, and he gunning it. Y'all see? Are you seeing how effortless Joe Flacco was throwing the ball? Since he started, he won 3 straight. Since he started, he leading the league in passing yards. Got the most passing yards. Fresh off the couch. Coming to the league, top tier defense. Get right to it. He does have 7 interceptions though. 10 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. But he's throwing for a lot of yards. A whole lot of yards. 3-1 overall. Lost the first start. Won the last 3. Joe Flacco has resurrected his career. And with the talent he has around him and the defense that he has, with Myles Garrett and oh my goodness, Denzel Ward. How am I forgetting his name? The cornerback. Denzel Ward and company. Cleveland can be a problem for some people, man. Long as he don't, because you know the picks, they cost you double in the playoffs. So, you know, but Joe Flacco know about playoff football. He a vet. They embracing him. And then my boy, you know, shit behind me. We let Amari Cooper go because we didn't feel like he was playing up to the $20 million a year standards. And then Joe Flacco come in there, he bought him, and he had 11 catches, 265 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cleveland Browns all-time record in yards. And now only him and T.O. 3 200-yard games. A 200-yard game with 3 different teams. I'm happy for him, though. Jerry didn't want him. Let him go. He done had some, you know, decent games here, but he basically hit and miss just like he was with us. But with Flacco giving them targets and throwing them the ball, and they looking good, man. Shout out Joe Flacco, man. You done resurrected your career. Came off the couch, and now you got the most passing yards since you've been back. And Cleveland Brown is in the 5 spot. 1 win away from clinching the playoff spot. They're going to have to go on the road, though. But they're going to be a tough out. Shout out to, congratulations, Detroit Lions. They beat the Minnesota Vikings 30-24. Their first division title since 1993. And people made a mockery of Dan Campbell, who was a former tight end for the Cowboys, by the way, for his press conference when he first got the job, when he was talking about biting kneecaps and stuff like that. But he's transformed that team. They got a tough mentality. My boys got to see him Saturday. We'll talk about that later in the week. But Detroit Lions back on the map. Congratulations. I know y'all glad Aaron Rodgers out of the division. Kirk Cousins got hurt. Oh, you know, Jordan Love going through his growing pains. Opened up the door for you. Congratulations, NFC North champs. First time in 30 years since 1993. Tampa Bay closing it. Y'all see what they did to Jacksonville? This is an honorable mention for real. 30-12. Jacksonville, they got to get on the horse because they're in a three-way tie in their division. They can wind up losing it. So these last two games that Jacksonville got, they need to tighten up real fast. And Baker, the touchdown maker, made a mockery of them. Made the defense look bad. Offensive line of Tampa flourishing. Mike Evans is reminding everybody who Mike Evans is. Oh, you know, it's 10th straight, 10th straight 1,000-yard season since he's been in the NFL. With all the different quarterbacks. Before he had Brady them a couple years. And Baker Mayfield now. 1,000 yards. This many. Straight. Get a man his props. Mike Evans, man, top tier receiver, man. They balling. Got to give him a shout out. And then they finished Sunday before the New England. New England defeated Denver 26-23. But before that, we had a good game with the Miami Dolphins, man. Shout out to my brother. That's his mob. Snipe, the Dolphins. Tyreek had 9 for 99. Tua had 293. We held them to 5 field goals, which is good because they got a couple of plays here and there. And Tyreek got underneath on us a few times and made some plays. Waddle got hurt, and that slowed him down a bit. But it was a good competitive. It's not really I don't really see too many things you can take negatively out of both sides. Maybe a penalty here, a penalty there, or, a missed throw here, there. But all in all, it was a good competitive game. And when it came down to the wire, both quarterbacks did what they were supposed to do in that moment to help their team win. It just so happens that my team came up on the short end of the stick, 22-20. But when it came to the last drive and it was, time to make a play, Tua made the plays and got them in the field goal range so that they can get the win. So congratulations to them. They still in the hunt. They in now, clinched their berth, but they still in the hunt for the number 1 seed. But they have to see Baltimore next week, and that's going to have a lot to do with how that turns out. And I don't have any. Like y'all done heard me fuss a couple of times about this, but I don't really have too many negative things to say. It's just a couple of plays could have went either way for the other team. But it was impressive that our defense held them to 5 field goals and prevented them from converting a lot of third down conversions so that we still had a chance. And then Dak went down there and got us the lead. But, they made a couple of plays. Congratulations to them. It was a good game. And then the Christmas slate started out with the Raiders stunning the Chiefs. That's my mom, Elia's second team, the Raiders, Had Patrick Mahomes, man, Travis Kelce throwing his helmet. Got Taylor Swift up in the box, cussing and stuff. Patrick Mahomes cussing out the offensive line. They getting frustrated. But they just a different team this year. And the Raiders defense, since Antonio Pierce has taken over as head coach, they have been playing good. The Raiders defense, especially at home, like basically almost all their home games were under, I believe, except for one, if I'm not mistaken. They haven't given up a lot of points. They haven't really generated a lot either because of their quarterback carousel. But they were real physical. They were jumping routes. They all was playing a zone, and they were zoning in different coverages, but everybody had their eyes on Mahomes. So it was just like they would blanket whoever was in front of them, inside and out. The safeties, linebackers, and corners working together. Whoever come here passing off, and we all blanketing. They blanketed Travis Kelce heavily in that middle when he was trying to run those earliest routes. Patrick Mahomes says sometimes he make up his own route. And it was a great game plan, and they slowed him down. 20-14. Snapped a 7-game losing streak against Kansas City. And now, Patrick Mahomes is going to have to go on the road to go to the Super Bowl. Because with that loss, they can't get the number 1 seed. So they'll get a home playoff game for winning their division, but they will not get the number 1 seed. So even if they win that home playoff game, And I'm like, man, what's that? Oh yeah, that was, like I say, some calls, call here, call there, but I expected. Uh, Mahomes is going to have to really rally the troops, put the team on his back, and instill enough confidence in them with the championship pedigree and show that he can win on the road, because I'm not on this stuff just because he's been to 5 straight AFC championships, 3 Super Bowls, 1, 2, and he's played all of them at Arrowhead Stadium. I'm not one of the ones that believe just because he got to go on the road that just going to automatically make him lose. We are talking about the best QB in the NFL. He just doesn't have the requisite weapons that he needs at this moment. His teammates are letting him down. They're not getting open. The offensive line ain't blocking. He running for his life. If anybody remember that Super Bowl when he played against Tampa Bay and Tom Brady and they got their ass whooped, he was running for his life. He made some incredible plays while he was running for his life. But he was running for his life, but they couldn't block. You didn't pay Orlando Brown. He went to Cincinnati. Bad idea. Didn't keep Juju Smith-Schuster. He was a good third down wide receiver for y'all. Maybe not the best idea. But they're gonna make the playoffs. And you can't count Patrick Mahomes out. But you can see in the frustration, because we don't normally see this out of him or Travis Kelce. The animation throwing helmets, he cussing out refs a couple weeks ago because his man dropping passes and lining up off sides. The holiday wasn't great for him, but the playoffs could be better. Just got to tighten up a little bit. Just tighten up. Then after that, Tyrod Taylor, one of those 58 different starting quarterbacks, come in for the Giants yesterday, man, and push Philly to the brink. Rumble. Now, they did get help from a pick six when Dallas Goedert slipped and the Dory Jackson Giant Bob didn't court it, took it down the sideline. But that's part of football. However you get the points, you get them. But they played a good game. Jalen Hurts had 301 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 rushing, and that pick six I just mentioned. But he did make a milestone in the middle of the game. He's the first quarterback to have more than 20 touchdowns passing and more than 10 touchdowns rushing in back-to-back years. Good job, bro. Because we all know what you went through when you was in college and what you went through when you first came in the league. You're a division rival, so I don't fuck with you when you play my mob. But you got to respect that. When you do something nobody's ever done, you got to give props where they do. And Philly survived 33-25. The Giants had a chance, couldn't capitalize on a couple of opportunities, didn't block late in the game, and Tyrod Taylor wound up being under some pressure and couldn't find a couple of guys that would have been open. But now that playoff race getting a little tighter, and unfortunately, not only do my boys have to win these last 2 games, but then in order for us to get the division, on the other side, you gotta, what they say, hope another team lose. I don't hope. I don't care. We need to just win. Whoever we play, wherever we play. Period. And the last game, the nightcap, and I ain't talking about Uncle Nocho, even though I watched Nightcap, but I love them. Loved them both when they played, and I love the show. Love the content. But Lamar Jackson in Baltimore just reminded everybody that the NFL is full of parity. And as soon as you try to crown someone, they can get their ass whooped too. And that's what we saw. We saw a thorough ass whooping. Lamar Jackson in Baltimore go into San Francisco, beat them 33-19. Wasn't that close. Picked off Brock Purdy 4 times. Sam Darnold came in, gave him another turnover. Brock Purdy got a stinger the second week in a row, so they left him out, let Sam Darnold play. But it wasn't even that close. Like when you know the game and you see the domination and how much better one team is playing than the other, or some teams played than others. That was a good old-fashioned ass whooping. And I'm not mad, because we got a good old-fashioned ass whooping this season by San Francisco. So, to be honest, on one hand, I'm not mad that they got their ass whooped. Everybody need a reality check. On the other hand, it was funny. Excuse me. Lamar Jackson had 252 yards passing, 2 Bajas. That's touchdowns for those who don't know. He also had 7 carries for 45 yards. For the year, 3,357 yards, 19 passing touchdowns, 7 picks, 786 yards rushing, and 5 rushing touchdowns. So that's 24 total touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Baltimore scored on 7 straight drives and basically put the game away. I think Lamar Jackson kind of put his stamp on the MVP right now. They play Miami next week at home. If they do a demolition job on Miami, which is tough because Tua is 2-0 against them, and we'll get into that later in the week when I come with the jewels. But it's going to be interesting because a healthy Lamar with more weapons and how they rolling right now, it's interesting to see if this wagon going to keep on rolling. If they knock off Miami next week, you better believe. And Lamar have one of them games like he did when I'm not getting out of there and they thinking he going to run and he, wham, tight end here, wham, wide receiver on the corner, sideline. It's going to be some problems. And a weird stat about it, Kyle Shanahan, the coach of the San Francisco 49ers, is 0-38 when down by 8 or more points going into the fourth quarter. Can you believe that? Because he's a hell of a coach. 0-38. Like, damn, it's some bum coaches that came back from 10 down in the fourth. Some coaches that only coached for 1 year. They wind up getting 1 in that 1 year. 0-38. Went down by 8 or more in the fourth quarter. So that equals if San Francisco isn't ahead. Just saying. We're going to get into the playoff picture tomorrow and a few other great topics of content. Before I end the show today, instead of the jewel being the pick, it's going to be a message just based on life experiences. Backbiting is real. And what you have to understand is that when someone has something to say negatively about you, when you're not around, you don't entertain it. Allow people to stay in their mental state or their misery or whatever they're going through. Let their frequency be that. And just see them for who they are and leave them right there. Because once we address it, we are allowing them to affect our emotion, and then we put ourselves in a compromising situation. If they can't come to you and talk to you straight up and say what they have to say, don't entertain it. It's a waste of your time. Let the backbiters and the haters be who they are. You be who you are and keep excelling. Because if you wasn't doing something good, they wouldn't be backbiting or hating. Shout out to Suede C, Exquisite Arts, Allah, Nature, Truth, Wise, Malachi. Peace and love to everybody. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you tomorrow night. Peace.